Live.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقالدهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, we are really honored and happy that you all have came out and joined us for a day full of Black Imams Roundtable. Alhamdulillah, you know when we first planned this, I didn't think a lot of people were going to come. I was talking to Imam Amin. I was like, "You sure you want to make Pittsburgh the first stop?" He said, "Man, come on. You think get 10 people to come out?" No, inshallah. Because we don't like to come out to stuff no more. I was telling the brothers last night or yesterday, well, I don't know, my days and nights, and they just like one big blur. I don't know when I said it. It was a day or two ago, somewhere in there. I was talking about how when I first became Muslim, 1991, I came into the deen on the tail end of an era where even if you didn't belong to a Jamaat or a national community, all of us were connected. Like me being from New York, I can go to Jersey, Philly, Baltimore, anywhere up and down the East Coast, and I knew someone there, just being a Muslim. Because just about every weekend there's a program going on, there's a lecture, you got vendors, you have all of these things going on, and we will always travel to these things. And so when you live in your life and you practice in your deen like that, you start seeing the same faces at the programs. So you start, knowing a group of brothers from Baltimore and a group of brothers from Philly and a group of brothers from Pittsburgh and a group of brothers from Cleveland and all of these different cities. And so this is the type of Islam that I came in on. But now, with, after 9/11, the increase in social media, and so a brother can live right around the block from a masjid, but he won't go to the masjid for class. He'll watch it on YouTube or Facebook, even though the masjid is right around the block. This is the time period in which we live in. So, alhamdulillah, a lot of the things that we're trying to do, we're actually going against the grain. You have to recognize that's what we're doing. We're doing what's abnormal. We're going against the status quo. And in that regard, the Prophet Muhammad, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Bata al-Islam al-Gharib, sayaudu kama bata al-Gharib, fatuba lil-ghuraba." Islam began as something strange, and it'll revert back to how it started, as something strange. So give glad tidings to the strangers. And we pray that we are amongst those strangers that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about. Qul Amin. All of you say Amin. You want to be from amongst the strangers. Because even in this place and time that we live, believe it or not, the Islam that was given to us and a lot of us know and we take and accept as Islam is not really Islam. A lot of aspects of what we practice and know to be Islam is completely alien and unheard of by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those who are amongst them. This is why it's important for us to be connected. It's important for us to be connected, not only with each other, but connected back to the Messenger of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. See, Islam is a deen or way of life that is based upon asanid, plural for isnad, chains of authority. Every aspect of our way of life is someone heard it from, learned it from, got it from someone, who got it from someone, who got it from someone, all the way back to its source. And once again, a lot of aspects of what we understand to be Islam is actually cut off. We got it from someone who got it from someone who made it up and didn't get it from anybody. He took a little piece of that, little piece of that, little piece of that, and mixed it together and called it Islam. I call that hip hop. I'm from the hip hop generation. By the way, I'm from Hollis, Queens. Thank you. I mean, literally, my house where I grew up at is 2 blocks from where Run grew up at. I mean, I remember delivering newspapers, and back in those days, you had to go to people's house and collect the money. And I remember going to Run's pop's house and collected money, and Run showed up. Right? I was like, ooh, this Run. Right? This is the same dude I saw from Crush Crew. I'm saying that to say, because if you know anything about hip hop, that hip hop has an element of poetry, has an element of jazz, has an element of R&B. It has all of these things, and because of this situation, it was remixed and made into a whole new music genre. And that may be a praiseworthy thing, maybe with music, but is it a praiseworthy thing with Islam? Where you get a little bit of truth from over there, get a little bit of falsehood over there, but you call it truth, and you mix that with something else, and we call it Islam. And we have to understand that the same one who most of us identify as enslaving a group of us and bringing us here and creating this fake environment where there's a permanent hierarchy, where black is permanently at the bottom and white is permanently at the top, and everyone else is in the middle. And every once in a while, some people get designated as white so they can get the benefit from the top, but blacks stay at the bottom and whites stay at the top. At the beginning of the creation of that paradigm was Islam. And they were fighting against Islam then, and we'll be foolish to think that they're not fighting against Islam now. The same one who they say discovered this place, Christopher Columbus, had Muslims on that boat with him. And they were oppressed where they came from in Spain, and they further oppressed them when they got here. And I don't want to give a long history lesson, but I'm just trying to help us understand that they're very careful about who they let come in this country. And they're very careful about what types of ideologies and methodologies they're allowed to permeate in this society. In our last session, we were talking about Aqidah, the Islamic belief. We talked about the Wahhabis or the Wahhabiyas, the ones y'all call Salafis. But we family, so we getting y'all out of that. A lot of us are in rehab. You don't call them that anymore. You call them what they are, Wahhabis. The same ones who in the last session we mentioned are Boko Haram, ISIS, and all of these other groups who they designate as being terrorists. I don't want you to think these people are ignorant. They know exactly what books make up their Islamic educational program. They know it better than we do. They say those groups are designated terrorist organizations, on one hand, internationally. But at the same time, the same books, the same methodology, and the same source, they allow them to get jobs in the prisons. They pay them to be chaplains. Why on one hand these people are terrorists, but on the other hand, these people are allowed to educate incarcerated black Muslims because they don't want you to reach the truth. They don't want you to understand or practice true Islam, because true Islam will liberate us. See, we have Islam by name, but a lot of us don't have Islam in its totality. In the first session, you heard a lot of us talk about how it is common that you hear amongst us, I follow Quran and Sunnah. I don't follow a madhab. The person who says that thinks Quran and Sunnah is over here and the madhab is over there. These four crazy guys in the 3rd, 4th century, they got together and they say, you know what, we got opinions too. Muhammad had an opinion, we got an opinion. Let's make our own opinions. You know, that's a good idea, Ahmed. I'm gonna get with Shafi, and maybe you could kick it with, Malik, and you could kick it with man, and maybe we can get our own opinions and make up our own thing. Yeah, that's a good idea. You call yours the Hanafi school. You know what? I'm gonna call mine Maliki school. We're gonna call yours the Shafi school, and we're gonna call yours the Hanbali school. That's a good idea. I'm tired of this Muhammad thing. No, man, that's crazy. People don't say it like that, but that's the understanding that they have. No Muslim would actually say it the way I just said it. But when someone says, I don't follow a madhab, I follow Quran and Sunnah, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying that a madhab, a school of thought, is something opposite, is something contradictory, is something other than the Quran and Sunnah. What the madhabs or the madhab plural represent are codified systems and understandings of schools of thought, meaning those chains that we made mention of that connect us back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, when we talk about tasawwuf or Islamic spirituality, the word tariqa comes up, or turuq plural. You know, the schools of thought, they're also called turuq or roads. So a tariqa is a road. Like the street in front of you, you can call that in Arabic a tariqa. And so we have to look at these schools of thought as turuq, roads, streets. In fact, interstate highways. That's going to take us from where we at back to our destination, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The best and most efficient way to travel in this country is by an interstate highway. Can you get from one place to another and avoid the interstates? Most times you can't. It's going to take you a whole lot longer to get there. You're going to run across a whole lot of roads that are not paved real good. And you might get lost and redirected. But could you get there? Maybe, perhaps. And so the schools of thought represent that. And so we're going to take these few minutes to try to familiarize ourselves with what that is and try to dispel some of these misunderstandings that we have with schools of thought. And so that was my long drawn out introduction, inshallah. So I'll pass the microphone to whoever wants to go next, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawm ad-din wa ba'd. We're gonna let Otis close this session, mashallah. I'm going to talk from a different perspective. I think most of us here are familiar with what a madhab is. By show of hands, who's all familiar with what a madhab is? Okay, just about everybody. I just want to, in my talk, just kind of give a clarification, and I guess I could say in Black Imam's terms. So it's a little different from the norm when we talk, right? All right, just to give an understanding of what it means to follow a madhab. Because as Imam Naeem mentioned, most of us, or people who are anti-madhab or think that this following the madhab is something different from following Quran and Sunnah, a lot of people think that it's the opinions of these four Imams. And then you hear some people say, okay, Imam Malik said this, Imam Shafi said this, Imam Abu Hanifa said this, Imam Ahmad said this, and the correct opinion, according to the proof, is this. Have you all heard this before? Yeah, this is part of the bamboozlement that we've been subjected to, and we should be aware of it, inshallah. So, because it's almost as like, they present that these imams just made up their own kind of things, and then the Quran and Sunnah says something different. And if you study their lives and their works and their levels of scholarship, you'll know that it's totally the opposite. But I just want to give a few examples of how we should understand what following the madhab is about, based on I heard the brothers talking about black culture earlier. That's going to be a topic, isn't it? Inshallah. I don't know I was ear hustling, man. I was kind of being nosy. Inshallah, I'll get the details later. But let me ask you all by a show of hands, who all saw this movie, American Gangster? Everybody saw the American Gangster? What was the most important thing about that movie, do you think? Besides Frank Lucas being a snitch. He was a snitch, right? And they say the best gangster movies are ones that, that are told by the snitches. Okay, he put his whole family to work. But what was like the main theme that old head said he wore the chinchilla. That's all I remember. Cause you had one like that, didn't you? But he still got one. Yeah.
He used to sell clothes, right?
Yeah, I know he got one. I can tell. He a chinchilla dude. MashaAllah. What else do you remember about that movie? Anybody?
Of course, he was selling drugs, but his main thing on the business level, business aspect, he was trying to get to the source. Because he
wasn't trying to pay the plug. He went straight to the source.
He was trying to get to the source, and he was trying to bypass the process that was already in place. You know that? And that, in a sense, made him exceptional, right? So he went over there, as the story goes, he went to Southeast Asia, and he went straight to the plug himself to get the dope and bring it back and sell it and bypass all of the whole process that we know how people get drugs. And that same thing is what people do when they try to bypass following the madhab and saying that they can go to the source themselves. Now, Frank Lucas, we all admit, he was an exception in doing that kind of stuff, and he made some money, and he actually pulled it off. But then what happened? The proper authorities got to him and put him down, as it should be when people try to go outside the process. Because when you follow the process and following the madhab, that's what is a process. When Allah forbid any of us buying drugs, right? But if you go cop drugs off the street and you know that it is a drug, right? You don't ask the person, what happened? Where you get this from? Where did you study to learn how to be a drug dealer? What's your references? Give me a dalil for you selling me this blue magic. We don't ask people that. You just accept the drug, and the person that's there is trusted to sell you the drug because they are part of the process. Is that true? And I know I ain't gonna ask the old head, man. I ain't gonna ask you if you used to cop dope back in the day. Alhamdulillah, good. That's good. But people who have this concept of following Quran and Sunnah directly and bypassing the process, this is the harm that it causes. Because you got to go through the process, because following a madhab is not just following opinions, it's following a trusted chain of authority and knowledge. Following a trusted chain of authority and knowledge that goes back to all of these great imams. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad. May Allah be pleased with all of them. And they all had the levels of what will make them, what we would say today, a big-time drug dealer, for loss of a better words. So they knew how the process went, and they had the sources, and they distributed the work. And the only thing that the person who copped from them, all they had to do was cop and follow. And that is our duty, regular people. When we follow madhabs, we just follow the process that's been put in place, that's tried. So that's one example that I wanted to give. All right, everybody got with that? We always got to put this disclaimer that this is the Black Imams Roundtable, because sometimes y'all might not know what we're talking about, and we make references to hip hop and the drug game and all types of stuff that we ask Allah to forgive us for, but that's what we know. So, for those who don't know, please forgive us. All right, I got another example. How many of you ever been to Disney World? Not a lot of hands.
Been to Coney Island.
Oh, nah, that don't count, man. Well, Coney
Six
Island might
Flags.
be better because I never liked that mouse anyway, man. But if you go to Disney World, and I've never been actually, but from what I hear, they take you on a tour, like the Epcot Center and all that stuff, and you get on the bus, right? And the tour guide tells you everything you need to know about the tour. Now, let me ask all of you by a show of hands. Which one of you will go on that tour and ask the tour guide, where did he study from? Will any of you do that? The tour guide's there telling you this is the Epcot Center. This is where Walt Disney, this is where he molested little kids at. This is where Mickey Mouse is home. Or whatever they tell you, right? You are trusting their knowledge, right, and their expertise in that issue, right? You're not going to ask the tour guide, where did you go to school to learn this? He's there for a reason. That's the example of people who try to bypass established authority and think they're going to go right to the sources. No one would ever even think of doing anything like that, going to Disney World and going past the tour guide. And that's what the example is following a madhab is. It's an established school of understanding with a curriculum. And once you accept the madhab, you follow the curriculum. You follow the tour guide in that curriculum. And they let you know what the do's and don'ts, where to go to spend your money, what time is the rest time, what time did the show begin. Everything that the tour guide would tell you in Disney World is what the madhabs would tell you with respect to your religious understanding. Was that a little clearer? Yeah. All right. Now, don't nobody go to Disney World and try to do the opposite. You know how we do. Excuse me, where you go to school at to be a tour guide? No, don't do it. They're there for a reason. All right, another example. How many people like going to the library? Imam Amin mentioned earlier their statement that's famous. They said if you want to hide something from a black man, you put it in the book. So by that logic, a lot of us don't go to the library, do we? No, so we're going to put it into that kind of logic. But if you went to the library, right, would you go past the librarian and go to the books yourself? How many would do that? You will go in the library and it's thousands of books. You don't know where the book is. They got a whole system to find it. And the librarian is there to show you where to go get the book. You're going to just walk past him? Okay. But how do you know about the card catalog? Okay. Who taught? Now, would you bypass the person that taught you the card catalog? It's the same thing. This is what people who will bypass the madahib thinking they can get past the librarian. The librarian is there to guide you, just like the madahib are there to guide you with respect to your religious rulings. How do you perform your salat? How do you make ruku? What nullifies your wudu? How do you make sujood? Where do you put your hands? And all of these things, all of these have a place in each madhab, and you just follow the madhab, just the same way you will go to a librarian or the one who teaches you how to do the card catalog, because they are the trusted authority. They are the trusted authority. And that's what we should understand when we follow a madhab. And in my experience, I used to, when I first started talking about, people would say, okay, the opinions of the imam says such and such, and the correct view is, and I used to hear people say that, as if they knew the correct view better than the imams that preceded them by generations. So it was like a smack in the face to Islamic scholarship, and that's something we should be aware of when we hear people say this, or they will undermine the status of these great ai'. You heard some of them say that, Imam Abu Hanifa didn't reach a certain level in hadith and stuff like this. And some of the other nonsensical things that we've heard from people, that now that we know what traditional learning is, that we have to throw it in the trash, and really understand how people have been deliberately undermining the traditional studying by way of the madahib. Another example I give is Imam Naim alluded to it. If you got on the highway, right, and you saw 4 well-paved lanes, they got all those little bumpy things with the lights, so if you drift off, it makes those noises, let you know, stay in your lane. If you saw a highway like that, which one of you, by show of hands, would drive on the shoulder?
Everybody here who don't follow a method.
Yeah, everybody here who don't follow a method, you're driving on the shoulder. But that's the example of where you don't follow those four schools of jurisprudence. It's like driving on the shoulder of the road, bypassing what's already been paved out, what's already been laid. And one of the things that in my experience, that I found out is that we kind of imitate this Western concept of religion with respect to religious authority. And by that, I mean, in the West, in this country, you can start your own religion. You can, now with social media, you can get on Instagram and say that you're a leader of some type of group, and you get enough followers and say something, and you probably can get federal funding for it. So if we use that in the West, how they do it, then we look at Islamic authoritative religious people in the same way. And then we feel like we can question them. And when we don't have the level, we don't have the aptitude to question the scholars that came for us. And when you look at their level of scholarship and what they put forth for the ummah, the best recourse for us is just to follow what's already been proven. And then you even find great scholars, because besides the four madhahib, there were other madhabs that didn't reach us. And there were scholars that was on an equal level with some of those great imams, or even better. But they didn't have a madhab. And some of them, they followed Imam Abu Hanifa. They followed Imam Malik in fiqh. They followed Imam Shafi in fiqh and Imam Ahmed. Because it was no sense to reinvent the wheel, to try to make our own shoulder when the four lanes has been well paved out and laid out for us to drive on. When the blue magic is already put in the bag, all we gotta do is sniff it. That's just a metaphor now. Nobody take me to task. They already targeted us. So, but all we gotta do.
No need to step on it.
Yeah, don't step on it. It's fine, just like it is. Anything else is greed, son. No need to step on it. You just enjoy it. And that's the example of following the four schools of thought. It's been laid out. All of the imams, they agree in about 70% of issues of fiqh. You won't find too many different issues with them. And this is another thing that we have to understand from people who have said that the madhabs cause division. Have you ever heard this before? And people are trying to insinuate that if you follow one madhab, it's almost as if you are denying what the other madhabs say, or you are denying what the Quran and Sunnah says. And this is absurd. This is absurd. And we should treat it as an absurdity when we hear from people, because it's not an obligation on us as the regular lay people, the awam, to know every single proof for every single thing. And this is a concept we get from the West. We get from these people that you got to know every single thing. You got to know every in and out of every situation before you can accept it. That's a Western concept. If we look at the religion of Islam, you find many of the Sahabas, when they accepted Islam, they didn't need to know all the intricacies. When you enter into Islam, you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is God, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal of all of the prophets. And that is enough to enter you into Islam. Not many people go into details about what they need to follow Islam. They just have conviction and knowing that this is the truth. And that is the same way when we approach the madhahib. We know that this is a truth. It's already been tried and true as curriculums, and our only duty is to follow, inshallah. So for those who have problems with following madhahib, just try to get that thing out of that you need to know every single thing, or following the madhab is following opinions, and know that you're following trusted scholarship that's been tried and true for the last century or more. And to understand it like that, then it'll be easier to understand concepts. Because many of us here, we follow different madhahib. Imam Naim is my Maliki Sheikh. I'm a Shafi. Imam Amin is a Shafi. We have some Hanafis here, and we have more harmony than you can find anywhere. And then there's the other people who create this disunity with these concepts of saying, don't follow a madhab, it's following opinions. What madhab did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam follow? Which one of the companions follow? Don't listen to any of that nonsense. Know that when you're following a madhab, you're following a curriculum the same way someone will go to Harvard or Columbia or Yale or Princeton. You know, if you make it to one of those schools, you don't ask them, you know, how did you develop this curriculum? You pay your money to get an education. Who will go to Princeton and be like, I want to find out how you put this curriculum together? Who would do that? I think you would do it, wouldn't you, brother? Oh, he said no. Huh?
He said, 'cause I
You
know
would?
right there.
Yeah, have you ever seen the curriculum for Princeton? I don't think you would do it, bro. I think you might change your mind.
You just shut up.
But
get
it's
your
already
scholarship and
it's
go.
already set up for you. The only thing you gotta do is get accepted, pay your money, and learn and get the education. That's the same things following a madhab, because they're all premier places of learning, just like those schools. You sign up, and you know, it's free for us. You know, you already signed up by being Muslim. You go to one of those prestigious madhabs, you follow the curriculum, and you come out. You know what they call it? What they call those people that come out of those schools?
Alumni.
Yeah, alumni, Rhodes scholars, or whatever, all that stuff. You know, you come out better than you went in, basically. So that's the same thing as following the method. You know, you come out, you get educated, you learn the do's and don'ts, you learn the ins and outs from qualified people, and it helps you get closer to Allah, who's subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's what I had to present today, to give you a better understanding from a black imam's perspective, inshallah. I hope that it helped to give us some clarity on it. And, you know, when you hear these people talking about don't follow a method, just throw that stuff in the trash, you know, and tell them, get in the lane, get in the 4-lane highway and get off the shoulder, inshallah. All right, so that's all I got. You ready, Otis? Otis is ready.
Can I get a round of applause for the Imam of the Boom Bap? Only on the Black Round Table. I've been studying for years. What a beautiful explanation of how to follow a method. Nice. You know what, though? If there's only one thing we can accomplish, learn to be us. Man, I appreciate that so much. Learning to be us. Everybody identify exactly what he said. Am I right? You can identify. We would act as though we don't know what he's talking about sometimes if we weren't in this circumstance. We're in this setting, so it's free. Like, okay, I can be black now, right? Normally, astaghfirullah, la ilaha illallah. That's haram. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I was just down the block talking to my homie, but that's haram. Right? No, we're getting to be each other. And that's important. So, Imam, excellent job. Right?
Thanks, Otis.
So we had different approach. I want to take this from a technical point, right? So we got all the points, we got it. I want you to look at a madhab like this. A madhab is a systematic structure based on methodological principles by which the top qualified legal jurist extracts legal rulings from the primary Islamic sources. Now, does that sound more difficult or just follow the guy with the bag? One is more simple, right? It's the same thing. When you have a madhab, what you're doing is following a systematic structure. It's set up with methodological principles. There's some way they put that together, right? And it is done by a qualified legal jurist, right? By which he extracts legal rulings from the primary Islamic sources. Tayyib. So in order to have a madhab, you're going to need certain elements, right? First, you're going to need a structure. A madhab covers the Islamic rules, the rules from A to Z, from purification to freeing slaves, even though we don't have any. Did you hear what I just said? From freeing slaves, even though we don't have any. Why? Because Islamic rules are not for your time, they're for every time and place. The rules don't it nullified because we're in a different time. The rule was there. I'll give you an example. Is slavery abolished? That's a question. Islamically, is slavery abolished? No. What's the dalil of that? Now we got dalil. What's the dalil that slavery is not abolished? Yeah, what's the dalil? Yeah. Right? Say it again.
There's merit for freeing slaves, and it was not abrogated.
Tayyib. Let's talk about the future. How do we know that there's going to exist again slavery? Don't think of Western slavery. The term having a slave. How is it going to exist again? Islamically, it is going to exist, right? How? That's a question.
War. Currency.
Not currency.
War.
War. Okay. Are we not going to have a war again?
Yes.
Islamically, we're going to have a war, right? Huh?
Yes.
No. We're going to have a war. Count on it. It's a part of your faith to realize it's going to be a war even if you don't participate. When there's going to be a war? And when? Come on, ain't y'all on Quran and Sunnah? When there's going to be a war? Now, I want you to think about something. When the Dajjal comes, the Dajjal is Antichrist. Who's going to fight the Dajjal? Isa alayhi salam. And isn't that going to be a battle? When you have a war, what always follows war? Captives, prisoners, right? They become captives. They become under those rules. So that's a reality. That's a religious part of our aqidah. That's our belief. Whether we live to see it or not, it's going to happen. Now, Jesus, when he returns, what Sharia is he going to follow? The Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the rules of al-fiqh, they're going to apply to Sayyidina Isa's time, right? So from Tahara all the way to the rules of freeing slaves and everything relates to it. That's part of the sacred law. So that is the system and everything in between. Is this clear? So that's a structure. That's our rules. Secondly, you're going to need principles by which you approach those rules, right? Without raising our hands, just a nod of the heads. How many of us been to court before? Right? When you went to court, did you have a lawyer or did you fight that murder beef by yourself? You had a? And even the judge tries to have mercy on you just in case your insanity runs wild where you think you're going to take that case by yourself. What does he tell you? He says, you have the right to, right. And if you can't afford one, why? Because the judge knows you don't understand the system and all the principles that relate to it. And if you go defend yourself, I tried to give you an opportunity, but if you do it, I'm going to knock your head off. Right? And what is the first thing they say? We've met insane people who think they're sane and try to fight major cases by themselves. What usually happens? They get slaughtered. And then the first thing they say is, why didn't he have a defense attorney? He doesn't know the principles of law, right? And how many of you seen the paralegal in court, the jailhouse lawyer? Right? Oh, ain't nobody want to act like they've been to prison. I got to move to Pittsburgh. Nobody never got in trouble, right? You saw a person and you start saying, everybody can fight your case. I'm telling you, you can do this, you can do this. Nah, bro. Sometimes you get a good one. Most of the time, he's in the law library and he's missing a lot of case law. And then when he get into court, get slammed. Sometimes you get a good one, you win, but no one takes that chance. I'm giving you things you can identify with. So you need a principle. The lawyer knows that, right? And the good lawyer knows how to fight cases. He knows case laws. He knows exceptions to the rules. He knows those details. So you need that type of jurist who understands the methodology. Then he not only can be a jurist, because there's lawyers. When we get a real crime, do we want a public defender or we want a lawyer? Isn't the public defender a lawyer? You don't even consider him a lawyer, right? He's a lawyer. But you say, I need a real lawyer. He is a real lawyer. He went to law school, but he's a public defender. That means he's not a skilled, top-of-the-line lawyer, right? So therefore, when we say mujtahid scholar, we're talking about the best of legal jurists. He's not a public defender. He is the best of the best. He is the F. Lee Bailey, the Johnny Cochran on steroids. If you understand my point. When you say Abu Hanifa or Malik or Shafi'i or Ahmed, you're talking about the best scholars in the time of the Salaf. The best, right? The best this Muslim nation had to offer, right? Let me give you an example. Imam Malik, he was the Imam of Al-Madinah at the time of the followers of the followers. Between him and the Prophet is only two people. Imam Malik, not. Why are you always cheating? I don't get it. That's a joke. He's on the line answering, so the brothers look like they smart, right? So we got Malik. Who's next? How many Malikis? Raise your hand. Okay, Issa, you a sheikh. Put your hand down. Malikis. Okay, so we got Imam Malik, whose main teacher was who? Nafi'. Who is from what generation? And who was his main teacher? And he is from the? You change Shafi'i. Right? So, right? And he learned from who? And all of them were in where? Medina. So Malik is the Sheikh of Al-Madinah in the time of the followers of the Tabi'een. So when the Prophet said the best of people of my generation, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those after them are those, he's talking about Imam Malik. And he's not like just the common lawyer, he's the top lawyer. You see what I'm talking about? Imam al-Shafi'i, they said about him, Lisan al-Shafi'i hujjah. Listen to that. Lisan al-Shafi'i hujjah. The tongue of a-Shafi'i is a proof. That's a dalil. If Shafi'i said it in the Arabic language, that's an evidence. You see what kind of person you... Just let him talk. That's the dalil. You want to know what is Arabic language? Let him talk. That's the evidence of the language. Imam Ahmed, he memorized 1 million hadith with the chains of narration. 1 million. How many of you know 5 hadith with the chain of narration? I'll test you. Go. You ready? Anyone? 5 hadith. Pick whatever one you want. 5 hadith with the chain of, and we are talking about hum rijal wa nahnu rijal. They're men and we men. Really? We just admit 1 million hadith with the chain of narrative, not just the hadith, not the text. Like we say, the prophet said such and such. La, that's not a hadith. A hadith must have a chain before it. He have to relate from where he got it from. That's all of them. Think about this. Now you see what I'm talking about? That type of person. It's not anybody. And they are the best of the best in the time of the best. They are the best of the best in the time of the best. I want you to think of, like, just marinate on that, right? And that doesn't put us down. It just puts us in our place, right? Like, we don't know 5 hadith, and you talking about challenging Abu Hanifa or Malik or Ahmed or Shafi'i. How? Tell you. Imam Abu Hanifa, he was in the time of the Tabi'een, the students of the companions, among the foremost teachers in the most intellectual and academic place in the Islamic world, which was Baghdad in Iraq. Iraq was the center of learning in that time, and he was the sheikh of the sheikhs. His students were the chief Supreme Court judges. They were his students. You heard it? So look at the Supreme Court justices. His students were them. I'm giving you law. Because when we think of fiqh, we don't think law. I want you to keep in something too. Islamic law is supposed to govern the society. You realize that, right? You know, we follow the rules, but we do what we want. In real Islamic country, in real Islamic society, the scholars are the jurists and the judges. They are the ones making the laws, explaining the law, giving details. That's their job, right? So you're talking about the best of them. From that, each one of them in their students, when they gave a class, like we're giving this talk, everybody in the circle was like them. You follow? When they gave a class, everybody here would be like them, of their rank, right? So whenever they discussed, they would discuss every single aspect of the rule, and everybody here is a lawyer, not a public defender, a lawyer. So what is the conversation when you got F. Lee Bailey, Johnny Cochran, come on, give me some more big lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, who else? Ben Crump, right? What is their conversation like? Let's just imagine. They're discussing together, some of them have passed, they're discussing the George Floyd case. Is their discussion like ours? Are they talking about, man, that's wrong, get our knee off my neck? They ain't talking like that. They're talking about the intricacies of the law. They're talking on a whole nother level, right? We do realize that. The conversation is not, that's Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, Ahmed. That's how they talk, right? So from this standpoint, the madhab is going to have those type of scholars. They're called mujtahidun. Mujtahidun. And not any kind of mujtahid, mujtahid mutlaq, absolute. That means they know all of the law, not a part of it. You know, we say, well, you go a lawyer, I'm in criminal law, I'm in civil law, I'm in business law. No, them, every part of the law, they are masters. Not just one, every part. They're not qualified to even be in the madhab unless they mastered all of the law, not just one part. They're masters at every level. All right, that's one point of it. Then let's go to the primary sources. So we just putting what's needed. What are the primary sources of Islamic law? The primary sources. Go. No sheikh's answer. Disqualified, disqualified, disqualified. Quran, Sunnah. Are you sure? Quran and Sunnah only, or
No shakes.
no, you didn't answer my question. I got that part. Let's not divert. We had a conversation, right? What are the primary sources of Islamic law? Quran, Sunnah. Y'all said what else? Oh, Ijma, okay. Arba, what's Arabi? Al-Qiyas. Tayyib. So that's 4. Y'all all know that, right? So I don't want nobody say I follow Quran and Sunnah, no more. Because these are not the primary sources of Islamic law. They are primary sources among the primary sources. But if you, now listen, y'all ready? If you, on your own, just follow Quran and Sunnah, you will go astray. That's going to hurt. Did you hear what I said? If you, on your own, follow just Quran and Sunnah, you will go astray. Don't dismantle the Islamic system. Don't dismantle the Islamic system. You can't. Y'all looking at me, but no one said why. Right? Yeah, that's beautiful. Barakallah. Why? Tayyib. In order to apply the law, you got to know everything that relates to the law, right? Right? So I'll give you what happened. It's a dumb rule you have in Pennsylvania. I think it's dumb. You didn't make it, so don't take it personal, right?
They from Pittsburgh. They're going to take it first.
Right. I come from Jersey. We can't be on a cell phone, right? So you put on headphones or you have ear pods. Do you know that's illegal in Pennsylvania? You didn't know that? That's illegal. You cannot. It's illegal. Guess what you can do? You can have your cell phone, but you can't have those things in your ear. I said, what?
You must have got a ticket.
I did. They pulled that butt over, driving while black. And the excuse was I had on headphones. I said, what? They said, oh, that's illegal in Pennsylvania. I said, well, I'm from Jersey. He said, no matter, you're in Pennsylvania. Pull over, black man. That's what I got pulled over for. I really got pulled over because I was black. But that was the excuse they used to harass me.
They ain't gonna mess with you.
No, this was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. The state trooper pulled me over with this case, right? So I said to myself, that doesn't even make sense. You telling me I could drive with the thing in my hand or to my ear, and if I put it down, but I have something in my ears, they say, yeah, you can't hear if you got that in your ear. So now I'm teaching some, see, I come from Jersey and taught Pennsylvania something. You don't know the law. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And he didn't give me no excuse, right? So I'm just giving you an example. That's why the jurist has to know all the law. So go back to what I said, Quran and Sunnah. If you don't just follow Quran and Sunnah, according to you, you're going to violate many things in the law because you don't know the law. Do you follow? You want dalil? Okay, tayyib. How many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are ahadithul ahkam, are hadith of legal rulings? The sheikhs can't answer. How many? Huh? 40? You didn't understand the question? All right, write it down. How many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are hadith of ahkam? They mean hadith that are for legal rulings. You do realize there's a difference, right? Not every hadith has a legal ruling to it. There are only certain hadith that are for legal rulings. Not everything in the sunnah is legal rulings, So the question is, how many hadith are legal rulings? No answer. Now you understand why we all got to follow a madhab? You cannot answer. So that means you don't know. So that means you have to follow someone who knows. All right, I'll give you around 500. Okay. Around 500. She thinks she's a sheikh. Don't worry about her. Right now. All right. 500. Y'all ready? Okay. How many hadith roughly are in Al-Bukhari, in his Sahih? All right, come on, that's roughly.
Roughly 6,000.
There's a lot of repeat.
So are you saying 4,000 altogether or 4,000?
Not altogether, because there's a lot of repeat.
Okay, so how many altogether roughly?
Oh, about 6,660.
Okay.
Something like that.
So over 6,000, between 6,000 and 7,000, right? Including repetition. And if we're saying there are 500, how many of those hadith out of that over 6,000 hadith relate to legal rulings in just in Bukhari? The jurists must know this. How many of them are in Muslim? How many of them in Abu Dawood? How many of them in Nasa'i or Ibn Majah or At-Tirmidhi? You see all these crickets? That applies to all of us because we're not jurists. That's not put us down. It puts us where? In our place. We're not jurists. So when someone says, I follow Quran and Sunnah, how do you follow something you don't know? It's impossible. What does the Lord tell us to do in such circumstance? فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. This is us. We don't know. So we got to go to the people of knowledge. Who are the people of knowledge? Al-ulama, the scholars. Al-mujtahidun minhum, those great scholars among them. Okay. In the Quran, how many verses are verses of ahkam? The Quran, how many verses are ahkam, verses of rulings? When I say ahkam, I mean rulings, legal rulings. How many? Think about it.
Is it just the verses where it asks like yes,
Verses of rulings. Any verse that relates to a ruling in the Quran, that means there's a legal ruling from that verse. How many? Right? You see what I'm getting at? There's a lot more we have to learn. They're around 500 too. So now you have it in your notes. These are questions that's going to be at the barbecue. So some of y'all should be, right? And I'm saying this to do what? I'm showing us what it takes to do what we claim we're doing. And we don't. Now, would any of us get in a car with someone who has our kind of knowledge of driving about hadith and Quran? I said, this is our Quran and Sunnah test. If someone was driving and they had the equivalent knowledge in driving, how many of us would jump in that car? Y'all follow me? No. Y'all didn't answer. Would you jump in? You would? If he had our knowledge equivalent in Quran and Sunnah, which we just discussed and we've shown, which is not very impressive for us, right? If the person had that equivalent knowledge related to driving, you would get in the car with them?
No.
My daughter has a driver's license and she can't drive me. She has a driver's license. Dad, let me drive. Absolutely not. Right, that's my point. I'm not getting in the car with her, even if I couldn't drive. I'm gonna get somebody else. I'm just joking. She wasn't gonna like that one, right? But no, I'm being honest. Why? She's not skilled at it. She's gonna make rookie mistakes. Imam Faheem was following me. He said, I'll follow you in knowledge, never in driving. Right? No, that's scary. Somebody get killed. What's going to happen at best? if she crashes? I'm going to die, right? What if someone crashes with the Quran and Sunnah? What may happen to me? I may end up in the hellfire. It's much more serious. It's much more serious religiously. All right. I'm only pointing these things to give us to know our standards. Now the test. More tests. It's going to be in the questions and answers. I want you, all of us together, to name right now 15 different books of hadith that are primary books, not derived books. 15 primary books that are not derived books, and the people online can jump in too, right? Give me 15 different books of hadith that are primary books. What do I mean primary books? The author who compiled them has his own chain back to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The author who compiled the book, he has his own sanad to the Prophet. That's an original book. Not a book that he says it's related by Bukhari and Muslim, or Abu Dawood. No, he from himself to the Prophet compiled all the hadith himself. Give us 15 different books. Together we're going to do it. We can. Let's go. Sahih al-Bukhari. Sahih Muslim. I want the name of the book in summary. Sahih Muslim. The Muwatta of Imam Malik. Someone's keeping count? Go ahead. Mujam al-Kabir. Mujam al-Saghir. Al-Awsat. By who? At-Tabarani. Okay. So now we're up to about what? 6? Okay, go ahead. Somebody keep track. Sunan Abi Dawud, 7. What about Ibn Majah? Sunan Ibn Majah, 8. Sunan Nasai. He said a Tirmidhi already, right? So we're 9. Go ahead. No, you can't answer them or you'll shake. You gave 3. That's it. Get used to it. You're not going to bail the brothers out, right? All right, come on. Let's not quit. What's Darimi's book called? Sunan al-Darimi. What's that? How many number? 10. Okay. Somebody keep count. Go ahead. What book Bayhaqi? Bayhaqi's a person. All right, well, that's a hint. Good. Bayhaqi's true. Which book? Maliki's have an excuse. No, I'm joking. Okay, that's a book though. We'll come back to that. Bayhaqi, which book from Al-Bayhaqi? Come on. No, this is stuff to make us aware how much the Santa Claus game is being played on us. And somebody will follow the Sunnah. We don't even know the Sunnah. We want, but we're going to learn it. So come on, let's keep going. So he said, Al-Mustadrak. Al-Mustadrak is by who? Al-Hakim. So what number is that? 11. Okay, go ahead. So think about Al-Bayhaqi. All right, let's pause. We got 11. Let's get one more book, and then we'll go to Al-Bayhaqi. One more book.
Someone say the Musnad of Imam Ahmed?
Okay, the Musnad of Imam Ahmed, 12. Al-Bayhaqi? No, okay, that's 13. Okay? Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba. And people's looking like, what the heck is that?
Farouk Thomas said everyday fix.
Everyday fix on your salary. All right, come on. We up to 13. We need 2 more. Come on. Let's work it. It's done. Just 2 more. Come on. Sahih of Ibn Khuzaymah. That's 14. 1 more. Come on, sisters. 1 more. These are all going to be in the barbecue. We're getting the questions. 1 more. Just 1 more. All right. No, that's it. Okay, let's go to Al-Bayhaqi. We're going to ask Sheikh Google to help us. You have permission. Go to Sheikh Google and find Book of Hadith of Al-Bayhaqi. We only need 1. It's 3 main books of Al-Bayhaqi that are related to this type of hadith. But, okay, the Sahih of Ibn Hibban, that's 15. Bonus, give me one of the books of Al-Bayhaqi. Go use your Google search. Quickly.
Farouk is clouded. He said evolution of fit.
Sunan al-Kubra.
Sunan al-Kubra lil Bayhaqi.
Imam al-Nasafi book has دقائق.
You ain't say that, did you?
He said it.
I said it.
Hanafis have an excuse.
Yeah, we do.
That's a fiqh book. That's Hanafi fiqh.
Nah.
MashaAllah.
Nah.
He did that so we can mention Hanafi fit. You know that, right?
Oh, that was a trap.
Oh,
Okay. Tayyib. All right. So we got Sunan al-Kubra, Sunan al-Sughra. That's another, right? Of al-Bayhaqi. So y'all got that, right? Ma'rifatu Sunan wal-Athar. The knowledge of Sunan al-Athar. That's Bayhaqi. So these are questions you can have. So we got them. Y'all, did y'all write all them books down? We should write them. So all of us are here, and all of us, let's be honest. How many of us said, I follow Quran and Sunnah before? Be honest, raise our hands. Come on, don't be shy. We're us, we're being real. Now, we just went over the Sunnah. Isn't that a fallacy that we've been saying to ourselves? A fallacy. Right, it's not true. It's imaginary. We don't follow the
story about
Sunnah.
Santa Claus.
We don't even know the Sunnah to follow it. Now we're going to learn the Sunnah. And one day, guess what we're going to see in our kids? We're going to see in our kids those who memorize all those books. We went from not knowing them to our kids mastering them. But they'll never get there if we don't admit we're not there. Right? That's what we got to do. That's our part of planting the seed. I didn't learn. Now I know. Now we're going to go acquire. Now we're going to train our children that one day we have our children who not only know the books, have memorized them by heart. That's where we got to go. Right? And that ain't enough to even start the process of scholarship to be like Abu Hanifa or Malik or Shafi'i. Right? I'm just giving us, that is a madhab. Now, when we put that, if we got two hadith that contradict each other, how do we treat them? What do we do? They're both sahih and they contradict. What do we do? Quran. How? Give us, think about it. What do we do? And this is, all these questions are just to get your wheels turning, to realize what a scholar has to do, what he has to know. And then we talk about the best of the scholars. You follow my point? Okay, that's clear. I think we agree. We online, I know we got scholars online. Are they there or they left? He's got halal haram, fil Islam al-Qardawi, fiqh sunnah, Sayyid Sabit. See the traces of being an Ansar? Horrible.
Hey, Farouk, you were supposed to be here, not online making jokes.
Okay, so here's the point. I'm just added, I said I was going to go technical, right? That's some of the technical things that it takes to follow, that's needed when a madhab is existing. All those questions and many, many, many more have to be answered, right? Oh, you got put it off? I'm sorry. I'm going to close with that. I want us to, because how many of us are professionals in a field, whatever it may be? Raise your hand. You're a skilled professional. So give me, sisters, what are your fields? Nurse. Teacher. Caseworker. Nursing. What are you? I thought you was a rapper. That too? For real, I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw you, I was like, Nelly's from Pittsburgh? MashaAllah. You say what's your field? Basketball. Oh, good. Right? What other fields? Where the doc at? Doc is security, doctor, everything. All right. So let's take the nurses. We got Sister Tahir. No. He wanted to give me the name, the beautiful name. No, he wanted to give me your beautiful name. Tahir. I'm getting old. I'm married to Islam. Right. Tahir. When someone comes to you, they're sick, and they start telling you what's wrong with them, what do you usually say when you're looking at such a person? And they don't know what's really wrong. And how often do they misdiagnose themselves?
Well, 90.
Right? And as a professional, isn't that frustrating?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
And then they tell you, I'm going to get me a second opinion. As if they know what they're talking about. Right? Basketball. You play ball, right? How old are you? 25. College or you finish? Finish. Okay. What is the difference between a basketball player and a bum? $5,000 dowry. No, here's the point. You recognize someone who can't play, right? I had a friend in the NBA. I told you this story, right? He was a business partner of mine. I wanted to play with him. Let's play some basketball. He said, I don't play with bums. I said, bum? He said, I can't afford to get hurt playing around with you. That's what he said to me. I was insulted, right? But he's a professional. He's making $7.8 million a year. He can't play a pickup game. Abu Hanifa, Malik, and Shafi, they're the LeBron James of Islam. They can't afford to play a pickup game with us. If you understand what my point is. That's a madhab. Do we get to really understand why we all need to follow a madhab? Now, which one is another story? Just in case you need to know Maliki. Right? That's a madhab. I'll open it up for questions.
Assalamu alaikum. While you're putting up your questions, and I'm glad you raised your hand, Issa. I know you don't like to. I won't put you on the spot for me. Can you stand up? Amir Khalil, can you stand up? This is our family, our extended family from Columbus, Ohio. You know, they come out of a community, you know, who they was familiar with them in their situation. You know, they're trying to reorganize. And alhamdulillah, they appointed the brother you see there, Khalil, as their Amir. And so, you know, they started a study circle. You know, they're plugged into us. So very soon we're going to be going to Columbus, Ohio to help and support them. And so I just wanted to show the people in Pittsburgh, you know, that we have a bigger extended family. If you all hear me after Juma, I'm always talking about it. And there's just some of them. Zachariah, can you stand up? It's our brother Zachariah. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. This is our extended family from Georgia.
You came all the way from Atlanta?
Yeah.
For this?
Takbir.
Man, they're famous, huh?
And this is not neither one of their first times being here. They've been here before. We got Kareem, stand up. Philly in the building.
Wow, man.
He's from the notorious, famous Ahmed clan. You know, if you know about Philadelphia, the Ahmed family is a big family. It's like one of the founding families of Islam in Philadelphia. This is one of them. He's one of our helpers and supporters online. You know, we got, you know, Atlantic City, New Jersey in the building, Camden, New Jersey. We all family. We're extended family here. Yuxada. I just wanted to show all of y'all that, you know, we got people that travel to us, you know, to help, and soon we're going to be traveling to them. You hear the Imam talking about the barbecue. They're having a cookout on July 10th. It's a Saturday. Inshallah, we're going. If you weren't planning on going, try to clear up your Saturday and roll out there with us. Because every day online, every day online, he has more than one class. The main class, the post-Fajr reflection at 7 a.m. When I say every day, the Imam came down with COVID and he only missed like 1 or 2 days. He was teaching classes, still teaching. And it's been going on for more than a year. That's just one of the classes. And so it's called the Post-Fajr Reflections Cookout Barbecue. And inshallah, we need to print out some of the flyers so we can hang in the masjid. But we're going from here, from Pittsburgh. See, there's a network. Just because you don't see people here every Friday, we're networked and we're connected and we're helping to support each other. And for all of you that are listening, alhamdulillah, anytime we get together, we don't like to, I don't like to, but we like to raise money. And so
I knew that was coming.
And somebody put the cash app. Is Samara, she still awake?
I need it in here.
I
need it.
$ Masjid. Cash app, PayPal.
How you spell it? MU.
Is the cash app? Is it Masjid Al-Mumin or Masjid Mu'min? I forget. Al-Mumin. Masjid ALMUMIN. And I think the PayPal is Masjid Mu'min, no Al.
The famous words of Mr. Boom Back. Give up that bread.
Drop that bread. We got
sure
another
it's right.
option. Cash application in person. Master is $50. Everybody. Who got me?
Abdullah, Imam, Faheem.
Drop it
Anybody
right
wanna
here.
match Imam, Faheem?
Come on.
$50.
See, maybe y'all said do. Wait, you said
Whatever you got. Empty your
all right.
pocket.
Come on, empty the pockets.
Drop the bread right now.
And we should expect to do this every time we come together. Because if nobody's going to support us except us, we have to support ourselves. So eventually when we go to Columbus, we want to do the same thing for them in Columbus.
Right here. X marks the spot.
We got supporters
Come
and
on.
family in Wichita, Kansas that want us to come. When we come there, they need our help just like that. We got our people in Albany, New York that want us to help just like that. We got our family in Albuquerque, New Mexico that want us to come out. We want to support them and help them just like that. Because believe it or not, this what you're seeing and experiencing right now is going extinct. This kind of stuff used to be common amongst us 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Us coming together, educating, buying and selling, eating food. We don't do that no more. Why? Because we're going extinct. And so we have to support our own efforts. Alhamdulillah. Issa, you had a question?
I got something.
Oh, sorry.
All right, now they done eased up these restrictions with this pandemic, but we will put the mask back on for another purpose. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Did you catch that one?
Okay.
Hey, look at this.
Let's go. Let's drop that bread. We got to support each other. We don't get no funding from the government. We don't get people supporting us. We get a lot of backlash, and we reach out to you. It is the mercy that Allah put in your heart and the virtue that He put in your heart to give. And we won't blame it. We can't blame Allah. We don't get it. We don't blame Allah. Let's go.
And here's the thing. Seriously, do you got to put the stuff?
I'm waiting for Samira. She half asleep.
Where's the collector people? Here, something that I want all of us to. This only works when we all do our part. When we all do our part. If everyone does a little, no one has to do a lot. Right? We have to learn to build. We can do it. We can. Right? How many of you know Imam Siraj Wahaj? Everyone knows him. Right? Imam Siraj said something to me one time, and I never forget this. What is he most famous for around the country? Right? He said something to me. I never forget it. He said, you know, Imam, when others do it, it's called fundraising. But when we do it, it's called begging. Why do we allow that to be our standard? Don't we have work to do? Hey, guess what? We went over those 15 books. If we're going to get our children to buy them, what is that going to cost? To buy those books that I mentioned to you, all those books, it's going to cost you at least $1,500 or more. $1,500 in my dreams. Maybe about $2,000, $3,000, to be honest, right? And we're going to need that in every black community around the country. How many massages do you think we got in the black community alone throughout the country? Roughly, come on, give me some numbers. Roughly, in your imagination. Huh? 200? Okay. So if we're going to have it in every masjid, what kind of money we need? If we're talking about at least $3,000 just for hadith books for them to study, and we're talking about 200, so we're talking about like over $500,000, right? So if we talk about we want to learn, there is a price to learning, right? And we have to do that job. Because guess what? In all the other masjids, they have these type of libraries. They're just not in ours. Right? When you come to Atlantic City, inshallah, you come, you're going to see a library and you're going to see what it takes. We need them in every place. We need libraries that are buildings just for study. Not the masjid, not the little library with, no, we need buildings just for research. We had nurses in here, right? Can I get y'all again? When y'all go to nursing school, don't you have places to research? In any field, there's research. That's just one aspect of the money, right? For our kids to have pride in Islam, we got to spend on our children. Our masajid have to become places that delight the eye when you walk in them. Our children are coming out and watching glitter, bling, bling. If they come to our places and looks gloomy, that's not a good look. I want you to think, stop thinking about us, generations. So the money expected all the time. And make it that it's a part of your bills. Really, you know your bills, even if it's only $10. Make the masjid a part of your bills. When you go cable, Netflix, put masjid and make it a priority. If we do that, we won't have money issues. And we shouldn't. So we're going to continue to do this. I thought the fundraiser would be last. They're probably going to leave. Should have waited fundraiser last.
Yeah, we
No
can.
joking, right?
Issa, you had a question?
I did, but you kind of answered it in a way. But I guess I can still ask it. So we're starting off fresh, you know, trying to implement what we're learning in our locality. We're starting off fresh, 1 or 2 people. Like, what's some of the steps taking in consideration, you know, all our job situation, everything. Like, what's some of the steps that we can do that's, you know, practical to implement these buildings?
Alhamdulillah. For all of you who didn't hear online, our brother, our Sheikh Isa Abdullah here, he asked for a community or a small group of people that's starting out from scratch. How can they get started, or what's some of the steps that they can implement to get started on all these things we've been talking about? I always say that the first step you do is begin by having at least one class a week in one of these basic books. One of these basic books that we're talking about. Like here, we did the Akhtari, you know, this Maliki fiqh, right? And so when you have that class, you know, have everybody come out, not just the brothers, the sisters, the family, you know, make it a family day. Pray together. When you start praying together in Jama'at, Allah binds the hearts together. Because you're not going to be able to do nothing if your hearts are you know, disunited. When you start doing that, you know, a lot of people, you know, because a lot of us, we think Westernly, we think like Westerners, like the Imam was saying, we try to stay away from that leadership topic. Don't stay away from the leadership topic. Appoint one of you as the Amir or the Imam or whatever title you're going to use. And that's your leader. And you'll go from there. And you'll just build and build and build. Don't think like a lot of people that the community is based upon a physical structure, a building. This thing could be started in your house, in your living room, at the park, at the community center, wherever. The building and the structure and the land and the property, that's going to come. But you have to start with the education. And this is similar to what the Prophet ﷺ did when revelation came to him. He was teaching in Dar al-Arqam. He was teaching in the house of Arqam in Mecca. That was their classroom. They didn't have a masjid. And it built and built and built and built until eventually they made Hijrah. And not only did they have a masjid, they had a whole city. But that's where it starts at. And so, start there. That's where you want to start at from scratch. And I'm not only saying this from a textbook position, I'm saying this from experience. I've done it before. You know, so that's where you want to start at. And there's other things, but that's where you start at. And the Prophet ﷺ's first revelation that was given to him was Iqra. So you can't have a community, a Jamaat, a masjid, or group of people come together based upon ignorance. You gotta be based upon knowledge. Knowledge comes before action, not after action. So you start with the knowledge, and it'll inform you about how to take the proper actions.
First step is intention.
Alhamdulillah. First step is intention. Alhamdulillah.
We don't got no more questions?
Alhamdulillah. But
When it comes to the madahib, you mentioned how Ahmed bin Hanbal, his students were the Supreme Court justices during the Abbasid dynasty. And then Hanifa, he had a teacher, Imam Ja'far, who he studied for 2 years, and he attributed his scholarship to him. And Imam Malik, his teacher, Imam Ja'far, he said about him that.
Hold on, he's giving you the microphone.
Imam Malik said he never heard and never saw a man with knowledge like Imam Ja'far. So when we talk about the madhab, which we shouldn't have a reason not to follow him, why do we ignore Imam Ja'far's son when he is part of Ahlul Bayt? His scholarship was well known at the time, and he taught the two Imams, Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, who their scholarship inspired the other two that we speak of all the time.
No, you take it.
I had to take that. Tell you two things in the question. Number one, the first part of the question that I gathered is the assumption that we ignore Ja'far al-Sadiq. That's not the case. If you go to the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, and he talks about فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. The first people he mentioned after the Prophet ﷺ are the A'immatul Ahl al-Bayt, the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt. Among them, Sayyiduna Ali ibn Abi Talib, Sayyiduna Imam Hussein, Sayyiduna Muhammad Ali Zain al-Abidin ibn Hussein, Sayyiduna Muhammad ibn Ali Zain al-Abidin, Muhammad al-Baqir, and Sayyiduna Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. So there is not an ignoring of them. These are the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt. However, Imam Ja'far radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is among the great mujtahidun scholars, no doubt about that. He was the Imam of Al-Madinah in his time, no doubt about that. So why are we not relating the madhab of Imam al-Ja'far and relying upon it like the four Imams Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, and Ahmed? Simple. Imam Muslim related from the route in the introduction of his Sahih from the route of Muhammad ibn Sirin. He said, إن هذا العلم دين فانظروا عمن تأخذون دينكم. He said, verily, this knowledge you're learning is the religion. So look well from whom you take your religion. If we look at the narrators from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, whom the Shia, who say they're following the Imam of Ja'far, those narrators to Imam Ja'far were considered liars. He considered them liars, kadhab, he himself. So if he himself considered them as liars, how would we trust him to take religious rulings as reliable? That doesn't mean they're wrong. Liars do tell the truth, right? A liar doesn't always lie, right? They do tell the truth sometimes. But since they are known to be liars, we don't rely on them. That's the only reason. And no one conveyed the madhab of Ja'far al-Sadiq among thiqat, trustworthy narrators, from al-Tahara all the way to the rules of al-Fiqh. So what you'll find in Ja'far is some rulings, but not a whole madhab. That's the only reason. So even the madhab of the Ja'fariyah, it doesn't have an unbroken chain. Unlike the four madhahib, all of them have an unbroken chain from us back to Imam al-Shafi or Imam Ahmed or Imam Malik or Imam Abu Hanifa. And if the Ja'fariyah, they say, yes, we do, produce the chain and let's evaluate the rijal. That's it. Produce the chain, number one, and then let's evaluate the men of the chain and see if they meet the test of reliability according to the scholars of Islam. That's it. It has nothing to do with Ja'far al-Sadiq. He was an imam of the imams. It is how the knowledge was transferred, right? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And Allah knows best. But that's the answer. Why? Now, it could be more than that. I mean, if you have a detailed more question, but that's the reason. Has nothing to do with Ja'far al-Sadiq, right? I myself have an unbroken chain back to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. From my teacher to my teacher to my teacher to my teacher, all the way back to Ja'far al-Sadiq, blood, father to son, son to father, son to father, from Ja'far al-Sadiq, all the way back to the Prophet, from my direct teachers, back to him to the Prophet. All of them Ahl al-Bayt. And I can produce the chain and I can mention it. As I mentioned, from the Prophet down to Ja'far al-Sadiq. So I would ask the same reverse question for the one who says that this is the madhab of Ja'far al-Sadiq. produce the chain. That's just the knowledge. Is that clear? Just from the terms. I'm not saying agree or disagree. I'm talking about the point. And that is only a matter of research. If you say, no, that's not true, whenever, produce the chain. Right? And that's the same thing we say to the Salafis. Produce your chain. The chain is a part of the religion. If you cannot produce the chain, then anyone can say whatever they want. Our religion is an unbroken chain of narration, right? So it is not a competition of individuals. It's say produce the chain from wherever you get it from. And then when you produce the chain, we're going to examine the people, right? And that's our religion. That's the deen of Islam, right? If you say it's narrated from the Prophet, it's narrated from Ja'far Sadiq, how? And how did we get it? That's it. And when we use this scale, the pretenders, the fabricators will be exposed, right? From whom did you take? How did you get that ruling back to Ja'far Sadiq? That would be the question. And you can't skip because you have to have a connected chain, right? This is important. You see Ahl Sunnah, only Ahl Sunnah has this type of methodology. That's what's unique about Ahl Sunnah. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask this question. There's different madhabs, right? And what I want to know is this here. All of them came at different periods of time, right? What was the first madhab?
The first madhab?
Yeah.
The madhab of the Sahaba.
The Sahaba.
Yes.
Now, did they call this school of thought while they was living, or did somebody say this was a school of thought after they passed?
No, they didn't use the term madhab. They had the structure of the madhab.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you use the terminology, these schools of thought.
Right.
So this is the way that these individual Imam thought.
No. That's not what it means. School. Oh, good question.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's not what it's meant.
That's what
School of thought. Yeah. School of thought has nothing to do with the individual. I mean, it's what they think. School of thought is a methodology of approaching the Islamic sources of law. The method they do, the method they employ is called a school of thought, right? So, for instance, why do we got the Maliki school? Didn't come from Imam Malik. It is the school of thought based upon Abdullah ibn Umar, who was a companion of the Prophet, who was in Al-Medina. And the people of Medina primarily had their reference source from him and others, but he was a primary figure of the school. Shafi'i, where does the Shafi'is primarily grab their school of thought? From the Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Abbas, who was in Mecca, and Shafi'i was in Mecca. About the Hanafis got it primarily from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who was in Iraq. There was the Sahaba. And the school of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas was not the same in every issue. They differed from their methodologies of how they understood the sources. And that got passed down to their students until it reached the Imams. It's all a chain of narration. Never forget it.
Now, actually, believers like me and other believers, actually, we're laymen's to that law.
I agree.
We know nothing.
No, me
that.
too. Don't exclude me. Me too.
But what I'm saying is this here. We laymen's to that law. Just say if I come up Catholic, right? And I'll follow you, right? Now, you might come to me and you might tell me something the same as he telling me, but I say, since whatever he told me all my life has been getting me out of trouble and been getting me closer to Allah. Truthfully, I don't even want to hear what you got to say. No, I mean that's somewhat. I mean, we could be argumentative in it. You see what I'm saying? I could say, well, like, brother, I don't believe like that. You know what I mean? For an example, there was a brother, and everybody's familiar with him in Pittsburgh, Abu Bakr, Nigeria. Good Imam, good brother, man, had schools. You see what I'm saying? And the only thing they had against him was the fact that he prayed with his hands down.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Islamically, you couldn't touch it. But the only thing, I mean, he knew the religion, he knew the scholars, he knew it all. And he prayed everywhere. He taught brothers, and the only thing that they got rid of him for because he prayed with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do here.
Takbir.
Takbir.
That's what you do here.
And we do one taslim. Takbir. And we say Amin silently. Takbir.
But that's what I'm saying. But nobody could give him a ruling on what he was doing wrong.
He wasn't doing nothing wrong.
He wasn't doing nothing wrong, but everybody didn't accept it because of that.
Now, guess what? Why didn't they accept him?
Because he prayed with his hands down.
No, that's not why they didn't accept him. Why they didn't accept him? They didn't know. And here's my point. That's what we're trying to fix. The reason why many people don't follow a madhab is because they don't know. So it's not the point of saying that I think differently. No, that's not it. I just don't know. So I have to learn. So it's not valid to say, I just think differently. No, I have to learn. Because some things are valid, right? Now, if Abu Bakr was praying like this and we censored him, that's a problem, right? Not like this or not like this. So if he said, don't worry, I like it like this, would anybody accept? By agreement of all schools, this would not be acceptable, right? See? So it's not just what we think. It is rules. Why is this permissible or this permissible and this is not permissible? It's rules. You follow what I'm saying? Because we don't know them don't mean they don't exist. Our job is to learn and develop, right? Trust me, I'm a Shafi'i, but I have high respect for Imam Malik, right? I have high respect for Imam Malik and all of the Maliki scholars. And guess what? Once I know that that's the school of Imam Malik, if that's the school of Imam Malik, not the school of Imam Naim.
What's wrong with my school? I got some.
Do you hear what I said? If he had an opinion, wait, so it's not his opinion. Okay, let's establish. Right? Okay.
I think this kind of look kind of good.
Huh?
Your opinion is different than
His
his.
is valid. Mine's is valid because I understand how they got there. His is valid and mine's is valid.
So you don't have no disagreements with each other.
Of course not. We're sitting here. I think we're better, but I'm just saying. Me and Imam of the Boom Bap is really on the hawk, you know.
I mean?
And alhamdulillah.
Get rid of other jokes.
Right. The Malikis is our sister organization.
He said, you made a statement about the lawyers also. You know, I might feel as though he's F. Bailey in that category. So but I won't go to you for consultation.
But here's my point. Here's my point. If you think he's F. Lee Bailey or you think I'm Johnny Cochran, you need help. No, see what you're doing.
You still won't get out of jail, you call me.
If you're making, here's what we're trying to get at.
We'll take your money, but we don't know if you're getting out of jail.
Here's what we want to try to get us at, right? We want us to follow qualified scholarship, right? That's it. It ain't about who I like. I like Imam Naim, but Imam Naim is not a mujtahid. Right?
I'm a mujtahid in my house.
Right? You may like Imam Amin, but Imam Amin don't have no weight. Trust me, everyone listening, I am not having no weight. My opinion is irrelevant. Let's not ego trip here. All I mentioned to you is the same applies to me. That's not humbleness, that's truth. I'm not a jurist. I follow jurists. And guess what? If it's from me and I'm coming, don't take it. It's a mistake, most likely. If I'm telling you something, then that doesn't mean everything I say, show me your dalil. This is insanity. You just make sure that I'm following qualified scholarship. That's your job. If I make mistakes, just you'll catch them if you follow qualified. I make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. That's not the problem. As long as we're following qualified scholarship, I'm just say, Aki, that was a mistake. That's outside of the madhab. That's it. We finish. Correct yourself. We keep going. Look what the Salafis have done. They made their own madhab without the skill set. So now you got everybody making their own opinions without the qualifications. Right?
But some of them base it on scholars also. This is what they base it on.
No. Oh, I got a good point for you.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm a layman. When they talk to me,
right.
Like to get it through.
I'll tell you what my sheikh said. They don't follow scholarship. They pick and choose what they like according to their desires. So at 1 minute, they're following Imam Shafi'i. Then the next minute, not Imam Shafi'i. I'm Shafi'i school. I'm Abu Hanifa school, Maliki school, with no methodology. Just what I think is the best opinion. You're not qualified to do that. You don't even know how they arrived at their opinions. I'll give you an example. To understand the Maliki madhab and its principles, what are 5 books that you need to know? How many Malikis? Raise your hand. Come on, don't get shy now. Right? Shafi's going to represent. I'm going to take your whole community out. Right? That's not right. I'm joking. Right? No, honestly, because I'm trying to help my brother and us all together. We're brothers. How many are Maliki? Right? Give me 5 books that you need to know to follow the madhab of Malik and know the reliable opinions in them school. To make sure someone doesn't have a deviant opinion. Give me 5 books together. And Muqtasar Khalil, 1. Mudawwana of who? Sahnun. You sure?
Yes.
From the riwayah of who? Look, he's guessing. You're cheating. Why do you insist on cheating?
Well, I thought you was asking me.
Right, look. Right, okay. The Mudawwana, Muqtasar Khalil. What else? Muwatta. Is that a book of fiqh? Okay, Muwatta. Go ahead. Risala. Huh? Okay, Risala, that's 4. Akhdari is a baby's book. That doesn't count at all. It's not in the discussion. You see my point I'm making? For us, we got a lot of, come on, 1 more book. Man, it's getting bad around here. No, listen. Okay, good. That's 5. Let's just add it, right? All right. That's a Hanafi stuff, right? All right, right?
Hanafi
So let's say
upon the
5 books, right? And guess what? Are any of those books the books of proofs for the Maliki school that the scholars of fiqh in the Maliki school use as the dalil books in their madhab? All right. So now we're just talking about the books, right? We didn't even get into the scholars, right? So you see, we're just laymen, even in our schools. I'm only pointing that to show us, stay in our lane. That's all. And if you don't know, let's not be arrogant. Let's just say, I don't know and I need to learn. And now we're explaining what we need to learn, Right? That's all I'm saying. If y'all follow me, right? Y'all with me?
Now I want to ask all y'all $1 million question. This is $1 million.
We're going to get $1 million?
I don't know if you're going to get $1 million.
So it can't be $1 million question.
But anyway,
Can it be $100 question?
Because I want to answer, because I ask people and they never give me an answer.
Go ahead.
I don't. Now I'll say this here. I don't follow the school in the South, right? I don't follow Hanbali,
Hanbali?
Hanifa, and Malik. Malik.
You Shafi? My man.
No.
Allahu Akbar, Takbir.
What I'm saying is I don't consider myself following that.
Right.
Right? Because I don't have the knowledge.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, how do you accept me? What am I to you?
My brother and my elder and a Muslim.
And I've been doing this ever since 1970.
Right.
I pray 5 times a day. I believe in the articles of faith. I believe in that. So how do you look at me?
A Muslim.
A Muslim?
Right.
Well,
How do you thought I looked at you?
But I mean, some brothers feel like, you know.
Guess what I don't look at you as? A jurist.
A jurist? Yeah.
You're a Muslim, but not a Muslim jurist. Not a scholar. You're a common person who has things to learn. But you are a Muslim. That's it. Now, just like I respected you as a Muslim, I need you to respect scholars in their plane and put yourself in the proper following. Right? As we expected you as a Muslim, don't play scholar. No, follow me. We can't just say it. We got to do it. I accept it. I'm a Muslim. I believe this. I believe you admit your status. I have the same status, so we share. Don't play doctor. I shouldn't play doctor. I should leave it to the doctors. I should leave it to the professionals. I shouldn't try to treat COVID. Even if I think I'm smart. I may hurt somebody, right? That's all we're saying. The madhab is the work of professionals. Follow the advice of the professionals. Don't try to do it yourself. That's it.
Other people have questions?
Behind you. Behind you.
Does everyone follow what's being said? And that's in every science. Aqidah, fiqh, right? Now your job is just to find the right professionals. That's it. There are such things as quacks in Islam. There are quacks. Don't follow a quack. Simple. And listen, as a one speaking, when we speak, sometimes it looks like we're making claims. We're not talking about us. We're talking about those great scholars. We're just pointing you to not do what we can't do. But also for us, I got a bigger one for us. We can't cop out, even though we're not qualified. Because if we cop out, we're going to be enslaved through Islam.
What do you mean by cop out?
I ain't no scholar, so what? I just do anything. La, we got to study. We got to learn.
Or do nothing?
What's do nothing? That's copping out.
Did Malakay? I mean...
No, we can't. Seriously. Listen, excuse the strong expression, black people. We at war. We at war. For our very survival, we're at war.
Literally.
If we don't learn, we're going to be wiped out as a people. Ask the elders. Where's my sister go? She was...
Sister Gladys?
Yeah, she left.
Yeah, she left.
When y'all were 70 years old, and I mentioned this, you used to hear black Muslims. That meant something. That's gone. And if we don't learn, it's going to be gone for good. We have to learn. I hate to say it, it hurts my heart, but they don't have our best interests at heart. And if some of them do, it's not enough of them. It hurts to say that. They don't have our best interests at heart. And if some of them do, I'm talking about other than us. If some of them do, it's not enough of them to make a difference. Please write that. It's a reality. Other than us, do not have our interests at heart. And if there are some, it's not enough to make a difference. We have to learn to love ourselves. And we have to build. We have to become educated. We cannot suffice ourselves with not knowing. It doesn't work. We're going to get globally slaughtered. It's a new world. We can't stay on Aleph Bata. It's not going to work. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going there. Yeah. I was warmed up. I'm sorry. Right after him.
It was mentioned today several times.
Why do I gotta answer?
To be rightly guided, follow the Quran and Sunnah. And oftentimes we hear this a lot. But is it true that Hadith al-Thaqalain, it actually reads, follow Quran and Ahlul Bayt? And if that is true, why is that not mentioned and why is the other one mentioned?
Both are mentioned. And both are Sahih.
So which one, like you said, when two...
Both are mentioned and both are Sahih.
I understand, but you said earlier, there's two hadiths that if they contradict themselves, what is the right methodology that we follow?
They don't contradict each other. Both hadith are valid. And they both said, how did we get to the Sunnah? The best of our Imams are the Imams of Ahlul Bayt in status and rank. And the Prophet ﷺ said, love his Ahlul Bayt. That claim that all of my teachers, multiple chains of narration, all of them are Ahlul Bayt. All of them go through the seed of Sayyidina Hussein to my direct teachers. All of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of them Ahlul Bayt. So it is, we are following Ahlul Bayt. I have an unbroken chain to Jafar al-Sadiq, to Muhammad al-Baqir, to Ali Uraidi. That's my chain. We are following Ahlul Bayt and we're following the Sunnah. And those Imams are the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. You're just not aware of it. The most pure lineage on the face of the earth are from my teachers from Hadramaut in Yemen that are all Husseini, all Ahlul Bayt.
What is their opinion since you're bringing them up?
Yes.
The Khutbah Nahjul Balagha, Khutbah Salat, or the same, I mean, Ali ibn al-Talib mentioned his understanding of the three Khalifas that preceded him.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because these are all Shia questions, right?
Correct.
Okay, so let's be clear. These are all Shia and good questions. Let me ask you a question. Did Ali follow Sayyidina Abu Bakr? He did. Was Ali a coward? Question, was Sayyidina Ali a coward? If he knew that the Prophet ﷺ wanted him to be the Khalifa, would he not have fought for it?
Isn't it true that he didn't have enough supporters to fight for it?
He's Sayyidina Ali. He didn't have enough supporters when he fought Muawiyah, when he fought Aisha, when he fought the Khawarij.
That was 45 years later.
What's the difference? He still didn't have enough supporters.
Still was outnumbered.
He still was outnumbered.
The difference is after the three Khalifas, people came in droves to get his bay'ah.
But that ain't the question. The question was he outnumbered? Yes. Was he a coward then? No. Would he have been a coward in front of Abu Bakr? No. He's Asadullah, the lion of Allah. The claim that Sayyidina Ali would have known that the Prophet ﷺ had him to be the leader of the Muslims, and he let someone took that right without fighting for it, without objecting, and following them in injustice is the biggest false accusation against Imam Ali. Someone whom the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever I am his protector, Ali is his protector. whom the prophet left behind to lead the nation, and he stood in his bed when they were going to kill him. You say he's afraid of Abu Bakr? He's afraid of Muslims, and he wasn't afraid of the Quraysh who were coming to kill the prophet? He laid in the prophet's bed when they were knowing they're going to kill him. Do you think he would have let someone take his right? What kind of accusation is that about Sayyidina Ali? Now, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I want you to think about it. Just think about what is being said, not you. What is being said? This same young boy who laid in the bed of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people were coming to assassinate him, would have allowed someone to take his right, that the Prophet made abundantly clear that he should be my Khalifa. This is a big accusation when you think about it. I mean, think about it. Think about what is being said about Sayyidina Ali. But when he waited till he got some help, he was still outnumbered and then fought. La hawla wa la quwwata. You know why he fought? Because they went against his right as the Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he fought them. And likewise, if someone was taking his right, he would have fought them too. And that's what Ali said. When they came to Sayyidina Ali, and they said, when Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman was Khalifa, we didn't have all these problems. Now you in charge, we have all these problems. You know what Ali said? Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman had men like me. I got men like you. That's his statement. They had men like me. I got men like you. What is he saying about himself? What is he saying? With that statement, he's telling you, I'm with him. And despite that, we like to talk tough. He was gangster. For real. He was the one who was in the front of the battlefield all the time when they were outnumbered 3-1. He was up front fighting. You want to tell me he's afraid of Muslims? He wasn't afraid of the worst kuffar. That's Sayyidina Ali. I just want you to think about these things. When we make these kind of accusations, that's strong stuff. When a man's whole life has proven I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Even when the Prophet told him to lay behind, he was like, no. And the Prophet ﷺ gave him the flag of battle. He said, I'm going to give this flag to someone that loves Allah and his message, and Allah and his messenger love him. And he called Sayyidina Ali. And he gave him. His eyes were affected. And the Prophet wiped his eyes and he went to battle. And you tell me he's going to let somebody take his rights? Think about that. Just think about it. It's just something to think about. Right? And guess what? I wouldn't do that. I don't think he would do it. And I don't think he would do it. And we ain't nothing compared to the dust under Ali's shoes. And I wouldn't let nobody do that. I wouldn't let nobody do that. Today, I wouldn't let nobody take a right that I believe that the Prophet ﷺ told us. That's why I defend Ahl Sunnah with my life. And I ain't nowhere near Ali ibn Abi Talib at all, not even close. We should think about these people we're talking about. They're not like us. We are regular people. These are the lions of Islam. We're nowhere near them. And Allah knows best. And I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about the case.
Sisters had a question in the back.
You can come back to your question, though, after. Let the sisters go and come back.
That mic ain't going to reach all the way over there. We got to repeat.
Good.
We didn't have a question, but me and Islam.
You can give me the mic.
The average Muslim, every Muslim here, did an investigation of their Islam, the way that they make the salah, and the woman or fasting and marriage, they would find that they follow a madhab unknowingly. They just don't know which one. For those who are unclear about madhabs and why you should follow them. So if you did your research about your Islam and how you worship, you would find that it comes from somewhere. That was the statement, though. That was it.
What did they say? What she say? What she say? Did you hear it? I didn't hear it.
She was saying that her and your wife were talking, and that even people that claim not to follow a method, if they would really investigate how they make their prayer, they are following a method. They just don't know it, and they don't know which one.
I like that, sister. Can you find out who a wakil is?
Go ahead, sister. Why
I'm not with kill you can marry, especially you.
Efficient way to compile your chain of narration, regardless if it's simple or what is the most efficient way to compile your chain of narration?
Learn from
No, I get it, like, learn from your teachers, but I think many different classes. You're the only one who would say what your chain is,
we just it's like this. All of your teachers, because I know who you are, they have chains of narration, but they might not mention them. But you should ask them. Right.
Chain of narration. How would I go about doing that?
So you ask your teacher from who you learn, and they will give them to you. Okay. Got it coming. Right? That's easy. See how easy that was? No, because I believe the chain of narration is a way that we will know how our religion reached us. Right? That's it. And it's a blessing in one way, but in another way, when we seriously study, it sets up. Like right now, my son, he's 21, 22 months. He already have chains from scholars. They write for him. So you already prepared. Now you got to go learn. You're going to learn about the scholars. But he's already not cut off. And then, as I put him in the hand of the teacher, relate a hadith from him so that he will be connected. We have to do that. And that's the only way we're going to do it. Not for showing off. To maintain this unbroken chain. That's what we have to do. This is our religion. Right?
And just to add to that, sometimes we have books narrated to us, without learning them, just narrated. Like we took the Muwatta like that, without much commentary, just narrating hadith, just so that we can be connected to the chain. And like in our case, we have various asani, various chains written down from us, so that we can know who we relate from back to Imam Malik. And a lot of times there's barakah in that. Like there's blessings in that. When you connect it to the chain, a lot of times the blessings in that will manifest, that you end up learning and mastering that book later on. Some people only learn these things as children, and they're part of the chain as a child, but the barakah will manifest itself later.
Hey, can I explain something to you, though? A chain of narration don't mean you know anything, right? I don't want that to be confused. The chain of narration just shows you connection. You still have to learn, right? But even if you don't learn, you should still know where the knowledge comes from, so that one day when you decide to learn, you know what you have, right? This is not like a top secret thing. People used to go and sit with their teachers and learn and take, not to make claims, to maintain that connection. Do you know, for instance, Al-Bukhari was almost lost? It was a woman who had her chains of narration that revived the study of Sahih Bukhari. It was a woman. It's important. It's important.
So how do we determine who's a scholar and who is not? Because in the world of Muslim stuff, there's many schools.
Right.
And if that be the case, then given the circumstances that myself, being a member of this firm, came that transition from the nation to Islam, and he respects those who are on the four schools and others. That would mean that there's no scholarship here that can come up out of, or has come out of America, unless you go across the water.
What are you talking about scholarship? What are you talking about? I know what I'm saying. When we say scholarship, the qualifications of the field of study, like in anything else.
Okay, is Imam W.D. Muhammad, is he
A scholar in what? In world politics? I would say so, of course. I would agree. Who did what he did around the, listen what I'm saying. Who did what he did on the world stage in his humanity?
But it wasn't just politics.
No, I'm following you. Now you're asking me one field. Now when you say scholar, is he a scholar of Islamic law? No. Is he a scholar of hadith? No. That doesn't mean he's not smart. He's just not a scholar. When we got a scale of what a scholar in hadith is, he's not it, right? That doesn't put him down. If I told you, is he a brain surgeon, what you gonna tell me? No, seriously. Are you gonna get angry if I said Imam Wafdi Muhammad's not a brain surgeon? Right, so that's all. What are you talking about? That's not his field. He never claimed to be a scholar of religious law. Did he? I never heard him make that claim. He never claimed to be a scholar of hadith. That's not his field. You understand?
Yeah, but there are those that's coming in that movement that are considered more scholarly. I've listened to you when, I think earlier on when Imam Suleiman was on, in the discussion that all of y'all had. And I thought it was a very, very good, poignant discussion. He tends to represent that.
Imam Suleiman will never tell you he's a scholar.
His insight.
I didn't say he wasn't smart. I said he ain't a scholar. If you understood that from Imam Suleiman, I'll call him right now and he will correct you. Right? Like,
then who determines who's a scholar?
The field itself.
Scholarship.
Scholarship, the field. Okay, for instance,
Knowledge.
what determines, what's going to determine
You're
if
gonna
I'm going to tell you, what's going to determine if I'm a brain surgeon or not?
Knowledge of that field.
Right. So what's going to tell me that I got knowledge of the field or not? The knowledge that's in the field. Experts in
its application of the Quran and prophecy.
no, stop. Experts in the field of medicine are going to tell you if I'm a brain surgeon or not, right? I mean, some things is just foolish, right? I hope you don't think I'm a brain surgeon, right? If you do, I got an operation to perform. You're sick, right? Now I'm joking with you. Now I'm messing with you, right? You know it's ridiculous. You won't accept. It's equivalent, right? You, to know a scholar of hadith, he's going to be tested, right? I could test you in 5 minutes and tell you you're not a scholar of hadith. Won't take 5 minutes. And I'm not a scholar of hadith. So if I can test you in 5 minutes and tell you you're not a scholar of hadith, what about an expert?
Okay, do I need that to be able to live my life?
No.
Okay, then again.
You don't need to be a brain surgeon to live your life either.
No, that's not the point. We're talking about a lifestyle and a way of living. There are certain things that we have to know as Muslims.
Right.
In order to live this life.
Right.
Okay. Based upon that, the higher up you go, the more knowledgeable, the more informed that you are, you're considered knowledgeable, scholar, if you will. Okay. For those that do not know, they go to those that do know.
Right.
Okay. But that varies. When we look at these different schools, there's more than just the four. There's many schools.
What are they?
Stuff, brother, I know you know.
No.
I know you know.
No.
What are they?
Let me say this.
No, go past go. Even straight to jail.
Let me say this.
What happened? You my name? You go? Oh, you quit?
Battery died.
From listening to y'all brothers, that there are more than because I've seen it and stuff that I've read about it. There are more than just those major four. There are minor schools also. They're just not getting that much attention.
All right, what are they?
I can't give you the exact name.
So don't make the claim. Got to be fair.
Okay.
See, because that, right?
Am I, wait a minute, am I lying?
No, you're not. All right, let me finish. Let me finish. No, you're not lying, but what you're saying is giving a false interpretation or impression of what you really mean.
How so?
You're not lying, but what you're...
No, that's another way of saying lying. How so?
Okay, right?
If there's more than just four, which there are...
All right, can I ask you something? Are there more than 4 valid schools with an unbroken chain back to the Prophet? We just changed the subject, right?
Accuracy, but I suspect
I'll tell you no. No.
Then those 4.
Then those 4, no. That's why we only follow those 4. I'll tell you no. Definitively no. All right, let me give you the example. Even when they try to get around the 4 schools, and they say, for instance, you have the Ja'fari school, you have the Zahiri school, you have the Zaydi school, you have the Ibadiyya. They are schools. None of those schools have unbroken chains. Not one of them. So even they had this in Jordan, right? They had these 8 schools. You heard that, right? What they were saying was that we can't say they're kuffar, not saying they're valid to follow. There's 2 different things. They're Muslim. That doesn't mean, it's the same question he asked me. They're Muslims, right? That doesn't mean it's right. It just means they're Muslim. That's different from being right.
They do have followers.
Of course. Some people drive without a driver's license.
I wouldn't put it on that level.
No, yeah, it's on that level. It's worse.
Some people do surgery.
It's worse.
Without a
Some
license.
people drive without a driver's license.
Well, some people can drive.
And they still shouldn't do it without a driver's license.
You gotta understand, they have a thing called the Pittsburgh question.
Hey, man.
And those when it come to my class, you know, he looking at me, right? Because he see how you looking at me.
No.
I be like, that's a Pittsburgh
But
question.
here's the point, right? Listen, it's not blameworthy to say you're not a scholar. You want to be a scholar, go put in the work, right? It's not a crime to say I'm not a scholar, right? We get this point. There's no scholars in America, but we're not going to do the work, but make us scholars by default. There's no honorary scholarship in Islam. Either you put in the work or you don't. That's it. You're not going to get an honorary scholar.
Is somebody in that car right there? Because the headlights are on.
Right? No, follow me. Follow
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Follow me.
'Cause the
I'll give you
headlights are on.
determination. To be a scholar of hadith, at the level we're trying to judge, this is the scholar in the field, scholar of hadith, to weigh hadith, it's authentic or authentic, right? A minimum from the experts in the field, you need to know at least 100,000 with their chains of adoration. That's a minimum requirement. Minimum. Do you know anyone in the whole Wafdi Muhammad community or any other community that we know like that?
In America?
Yeah.
So that means that
I asked you, do you know anyone? I don't. I'm just
that
saying.
would mean that there's no scholarship in America.
In hadith.
But brother,
That's a field.
I'm
Now, there may be a scholar in Quran. Now, if you ask me, do I know some...
Do I need to know 100,000 or even 1 million hadith to be able to live this thing properly?
No,
But that
absolutely not.
wasn't your question.
That wasn't your
That
question.
wasn't your question.
No. I'm trying to center in on something.
Okay,
Yeah,
sit
but-
on it.
When we start talking about scholarship, okay, it varies from community to community because around the country and around the world and stuff, you have people depending on their local and cultural concerns of that particular community, those knowledgeable ones amongst them is the one that presents the religion in a way that's applicable to those people.
That's no disagreement with that. What that got to do with scholarship?
Those are considered knowledgeable and scholarly people.
Knowledgeable and scholarly is not scholar.
I just see the term scholar. When I hear Muslims say that, it's a generic term to me.
But it's not a generic term.
Knowledge, a brother who's very knowledgeable in a particular field that he.
No. He's qualified in a particular field, right? Listen, do I need to go to Harvard Law School to stay out of jail?
No.
So does that make me a scholar in law?
No.
So why you don't understand the concept? It's the same concept. I don't need, that's what you said. Do I need to know all that hadith to practice my deen? No. But you asked about being a hadith scholar. Yeah, you do.
No, I was speaking about scholarship. General.
There's no such thing as general scholarship. You remember I had the person said, I'm a PhD. You're a PhD in what? You can't just say I'm a PhD. I'm just a PhD.
Liberal arts.
What the hell is a PhD?
Liberal arts.
What did you go to school for? Right? There's fields of study.
Liberal arts.
Let's not make the deen like it don't matter. It matters. There are specialists in the religion. There's specialized field. Even if we're not among them, that's fine.
I don't think the scholarship changes from place to place. It's the people's claims to it. And in the times we live in, a lot of people don't meet the requirements that we expect for knowledge. For instance, if when we say scholarship is in Islam, you need to at least memorize the Quran.
That's funny.
Know all of the rulings of the Quran, the ayahs that pertain to ahkam, all of these things. And hadith, the same thing. Then knowing the consensus of the companions, what they differed in, knowing all these different rulings of fiqh. That's what scholarship is determined by, and who has that. A lot of people don't have it. So we hear a local person like myself in the masjid, and I'm teaching you Fard Ain, then I sound like a scholar. But I'm just following what's already preceded. I just got I got some college credits. I don't got no degree. I just got some college credits compared to the dude that ain't got no GED. Yeah, I'm a scholar. You know what I mean? But when we talk about scholarship, a lot of us just need to sit down and know that that's not where we at. And that's the importance of following tried and true scholarship with the Imam and those who follow them with that chain of narration.
But you know something, we got to stop seriously. My wife's an educator, right? And I hear her tell the kids all the time. She says, you're not competing against the people around you. You're competing against the world. Step it up.
Yes.
She tells the kids that all the time. You're not competing with you. Listen, I travel the world, right? They have world Islamic conferences. World, international. And when our people come, I ain't talking about blacks, I'm talking about Americans. We might be a guest, give a lecture. You're not on the panel making decisions. Why is that? I ain't talking about black, I'm talking about any American. Right? You're just there to give a little talk. You're not making legal rulings, and when there's the mufti and the qadi and the hadith, you're just sitting there in the stands, bro. But we come back to America, the scholar of the West. It's the biggest hypocrisy and lie, and they know it. That doesn't put nobody down. It's just not real. Let's step it up. Let's make it one day when, just like when he goes from Gambia and they sit on the world international stage, or Nigeria or Ghana, they have real representation, scholars. We need to do the same thing. We cannot do it by false scholarship. The world is not going to accept that. The world is not going to give us your knowledgeable default scholar. They're talking about world issues. They want scholarship, real scholarship. And even in our time, real scholarship is not like those days, but even in our time, real scholarship. Listen, I'm Imam Amin Muhammad. I could come talk to you, right? But they're not going to put me on a panel with a bunch of graduates with doctor's degrees, even if I know more than them. They're not going to do that. Why? You're not qualified. You can't sit at this table. This is the table of doctors. You're smart. You're not a doctor. I didn't say you wasn't smart. I didn't say you might know no more than a doctor, but you're not a doctor.
Certification is different than qualifications too.
That's true too. Most certified people are not qualified. But nevertheless, they got their qualifications or certifications, right? So that gives them a merit, right? So that's all I'm saying. And for us, we got to step that up, right? I hate the racist that goes on with us. I'm on a campaign. I don't think y'all noticed that yet. I'm on a campaign to revive respect in the Black Muslim community. I'm at war. Seriously. But in order to win this war, we got to step up. We got to stop settling for less. Hence the $5,000 dowry. Right? Now look. No, seriously. I mean, it's the concept. People look at us like we a joke. How many of you went in an immigrant masjid and they say, Salaam alaikum, Ak, you Muslim? Hey, brother, you Muslim? How many of you have heard that? You can be dressed like Sheikh al-Islam. You Muslim, brother? That's a mentality. It says you guys really don't know nothing. We have to change that narrative. Right? We got to change the narrative. We got brothers. Let me show you how bad it is. They got graduates from the University of Medina. Graduates from the University of Azhar. The black people. You come back home, you struggle in your local masjid. The one in the Arab world, he's working for the government in a court. He's a judge. He's this. He's on the Islamic Council. You, Negro, go back to the ghetto. Why is that? He graduated, I graduated. Why is he got such sheikh, fadilat sheikh, you student of knowledge? Why? Why? It's a war against us. So in order to fight war, you got to have weapons, right? No one fights war without weapons. Our weapons is the knowledge of the religion, but we must learn. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Right? Oh, we got to pray, right?
Yeah. SubhanAllah, we were supposed to make us about 15 minutes ago. So inshallah, let's close out. Let's close out, get ready. Our Hanafi brother said it's too early. Right? So he do security for us. Inshallah.
See, you hear the difference of opinion? Did you hear what he just said? Now watch this. Watch this. Y'all ready? He's wrong, but no problem. But guess what? He's wrong, but he's right. Now, tell me why it's too early. Okay, what does it mean? Explain the rule. In what school?
And according to the Ahnaf, the interpretation of the hadith of Jibril alayhi salam, whenever he came back the second day, was an abrogation of the first day that he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go over the times of the salah. The second day was considered according to the Ahnaf as an abrogation of the first day, in which the length of the length of the shadow of an object was equal plus double. So according to the Ahnaf, this is the proper
equal
time.
plus?
Meaning that it was like, if I'm 6 foot, then the shadow 6 foot plus double that would be the proper time for Salat al-Asr.
Meaning 12 feet.
Yeah.
Fix the rule. That's wrong.
That's not wrong.
Go check your Hanafi books.
I will.
Go get them, and then come back and apologize. Have some adab. Say I was mistaken. That's wrong. You're right, but you explained it wrong. That's what's wrong. You're right, the ruling, but the way you explain it is wrong. Try it again. I'm gonna help you. Yes.
No, not 3 times.
That's what you said.
I did make a mistake in that.
Say it again.
That is,
No, no, pass go.
I made a mistake.
Say it again.
I made a mistake.
So explain the rule properly.
Object is double, would be the proper time.
Double of what?
The shadow of the length of an object would be double that in which its height is.
Okay, I'm going to give you the ruling according to the Hanafi school, so you know it. When you have the shadow at the time of the zenith, when the shadow of the object is double, in addition to the shadow at the length of the object at its zenith, that's Asr time according to the Hanafis. The difference from the Shafi'is is when the shadow is equal to the length of the object, in addition to the shadow when the sun is at its zenith. The sun at its zenith is a very important passage of that rule. So you're right. We just share it. Is that correct? You sure? Say I'm sorry. No, I'm just having fun. See, he said the Hanafi school. What did I say? No, that's not the Hanafi school. That doesn't mean he's wrong. You see my point? That's all we're saying for us. You see my point? We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're brothers. And we can make mistakes. But it's easy to fix, right? Because the madhab is already established. He can't make his own rules. I can't make my own rules. That's why I said, we got to just go to the books. But if we don't have no books, can we go to them? So what we got to do, get money to buy what? Say it again. For the sisters in the back, we need more money to buy how many books?
Come see the Maliki table over there with the books. Yeah.
I'm just having fun. This is us.
Can I say one thing that'll get this off, like you said,
Good. Give it to this one.
Can anybody answer this question? I just want to know if you can answer this question.
No.
What's the tallest building in the world? Do anybody know? The roof. No.
The roof. Empire State Building.
No.
The one
tallest building in the world is the library. It got more stories.
Okay.
So we try to build a library to get them stories in.
All right, what time are we returning? We're returning at 6.
Yeah, we're gonna try to pray at 6, inshallah. What time is it?
So what the next session is at 6:30?
Subhanallah. Our next session is supposed to be at 6. We're gonna push it back to 6:30, inshallah. It's 12 minutes to 6. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa inna insana la yukhsha illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam.
Look at she said, we always end up at more books. And you notice, man, more books. Assalamu alaikum. We'll see y'all at 6:30.